Hello everybody, welcome back. This is Deadman9001, the voice of the GrexofFaria Channel here on YouTube and the Deadman9001 stream on Twitch TV. Welcome back to GateRed in Rimworld, where last time, well, the fan was full of poop. Yes, shit hit the fan. Well, yeah, I mean, we're kind of at the point where Yardy died, everybody else died, Bob died, and we've got our man here, and then we've got Carrie. Carrie's bleeding to death. And we spent the entire section of the next 1-2 episodes trying to recruit the non-recruitable guy. You know, the one that's at 50%, 51% recruit. And he just would not get recruited. Nope. He's not interested in it. And drove me nuts. I kept calling him pompous and everything because I gave him the biggest room in our entire building to get recruited. You know, so he would feel better about his surroundings and get recruited. Now there's only one other person in this entire colony, that's Carrie, and I was worried she was going to bleed to death. So that's why I put urgency on trying to recruit. But unfortunately, I couldn't. Now Jay was being a pain in the butt about being recruited, and eventually a pirate merchant would save my day. Now this was my this is pretty much the second attempt at trying to avert disaster, which, you know, I did with the initial reboot, which was episode 9, and episode 10 gave me the ultimate result that I should have had, or I thought I should have had, in episode 9 originally. But here we go, having a poison chip drop on us. And of course, for some odd reason, we couldn't put out half the fire it spreaded. And she wouldn't deal with that one fire that was there, next to the thing. And I assume it had everything to do with the fact that the poison had spreaded. Now, one interesting thing that I noted after some time, now here we are in a biome that hardly ever has a bad part of a growing season. The growing season is supposed to last the entire year. Well, you'll eventually notice something different about the landscape around the poison ship. But anyway, so Jay, again, was being a pain. We gave him the biggest room. I actually thought that making him happier, not as stressed, aside from being in prison, would actually give him a fair shot. Unfortunately, Carrie's 4 ability in wardening and social skills really didn't help her out here. And of course, now this is here. I couldn't put anything out except the one edge of the corner. And that's because I guess the poison had gotten there. That was my only explanation, because she just left. I could not click on the fire again, except for the one little piece that came out of the radius. Luckily enough, it started raining and it would eventually kill that off, but... And the one interesting thing I've noticed, if you look just north of the pod, it's white. It's snow. The poison is snow. So, towards the end of what would have been episode 11, I started planning out, well, you should shovel this. And we'll use a shovel and start shoveling the snow. Which I thought, you know, was kind of ingenious. Well, I don't know, because eventually it did block some of the snow and stop killing some of our plants, but at the same time, I mean, we were actually planting new plants in and they weren't dying right away, so... But if you end up playing this game, another thing to note is even if the character is not bleeding to death, because Carrie eventually stopped bleeding. or at least, bleeding outside of her body and everything else. She would be in slight pain, but she was still able to walk around, and she was still able to do stuff, but every other moment was telling me, oh, she needs treatment right away. Which, I mean, she did, but she never ended up getting an infection, which I thought was really strange and bizarre. Now, unfortunately, this is the last episode of this series. We are not going to be continuing GateRed, even though I could. It would be doing about the same amount of good as I would have done or it did about as much good as the fix in episode 8, when I ended up, the transition between episode 8 and 9, where I restarted the file because Yardy was the only one left alive, and Yardy can't do anything, or Yardy couldn't do anything, so we had to reboot the series because he was dying. There was no fixing it. I couldn't get anybody, or I couldn't hire or get a new person to come in that would have allowed him to keep living and have another colonist with him. But we spent a good portion of what would have been episode 11 and episode 12 in trying to prevent the poison to spread, if the poison was in fact just the snow. Because if you take away some of the snow, it seemed that it had to get back where it was before it could do anything else. So, now here was a saving moment here that I thought was going to be the turnaround point. Beginning of episode 12, we finally get a pirate merchant, which means we can hire somebody. Now, the name escapes me because I can't quite look at the name again, but anyway, I think it was Thaisa, something like that. We could sell Jay for some money and have enough to get Thaisa? I'm not going to try to pronounce it because it's all scrambled on the screen I'm looking at, but anyway. So we had the chance to hire her, or somebody else who was actually a little bit better in most other categories, but we didn't have the silver for it. So I looked at this and the character, and Ezra would have been good. Ezra would have been great. Although, based on what ended up happening at the end of the episode, I kind of negate that. But anyway, Ezra, if this had been a continuation of the series, Ezra would have been great, had we the ability to afford her. And I didn't want to leave the pirate there and then him leave at some point soon without getting somebody, because we really needed another person, I felt, for the colony to survive. Excuse me, by the way. But Thaisa was okay enough. I mean, she could heal. She could do some things. It wasn't like she was entirely forbidden to do anything. So I ended up selling Jay, getting her, and being done. First things first, grab her and get her to heal Carrie, so Carrie stops giving me alerts every time she gets up out of bed. So I've got to set all the priorities and everything else. But yeah, the trade beacon. Now I gotta remember what building what item that is, but the trade beacon that was the first one that was set up is what lured them inside the building all the time. And it's really weird how they were getting in the building when the entire building was roofed. And that was the last two raids that we had. The one that actually almost ended the series after episode 8, and the one that ended the series, which would have been before episode 13. And episode 13 would have really been the last episode, but by the end of episode 12, you guys would have already known that, and it was kind of a bad point to cut off and be like, well, guys, sorry, we're done. Sorry, after all the excitement and everything that this episode has had, we're done. But yeah, this kind of killed everything. The raid just happened. It just went right into two rooms, and I still didn't get how this was even happening. Like, how did they keep getting into the building? There's a roof on it and everything. So I think I have a slight bit of time here, which I really didn't. Carrie's still sitting in there, and she tries to fight back against the pistol. Didn't really work. I had to recruit her before she could kill herself. Thaisa does not have any length in fighting. Whether that's shooting, well, I mean, neither of these two have. So Carrie and this guy get into Tony get into a gunfight in our main hall. The other guy's setting a fire all over the inside of the place. And, I mean, I was a little bit stupid at this point. Like, I could have just brought my people out, but then again, these guys would have just ransacked the place. So, the one guy on the right, he's just got a knife. He's just ransacking the place. I try to bring in Thaisa to do hand-to-hand combat with this guy, trying to see if I can knock him down. He's only got a pistol. I mean, I thought that would be easy. But she gets critically injured. Now, Carrie's still firing in this general direction. And now the bandits are actually in the mode of, we need to grab somebody and go. So I figured we're just going to bring Thaisa into a room where they can't access her. So that way they're, they can't actually trap her and be like, well, I just got somebody to lose somebody. Nope. So Carrie's going to put out the fire. I decide at this time, I've had enough of these raids on the inside of the building. You're going to die. So I end up killing both of them end up dying. But you'll see what the problem is in the next minute or two. I get her into this room. This guy's dying from something. And I don't pay attention to what's going on with Carrie. I just figure, oh, she can just put out the fire. I'm not paying attention to the temperature at all. She gets into severe heat, I can't think of the word right now. Extreme. So anyway, she's having some problems here with the heat. So I decide she needs to go back out of here. She gets critical, and she literally pretty much dies. There is no way I can continue from this point. If I were to continue episode 13, there would have been no point. They just would have both died. And we'd be right back where we're at right now. So, anyway, guys, I thank you guys very much for tuning in and watching here for us. This has been Deadman9001, the voice of the GrexofFaria Channel. Sorry that the series had to end this way, where I have to do a voiceover of 2 different episodes in one. But I do hope that you tune in next time. We'll try to get it done a little bit better. But I figured I finally actually finished the series on this channel. And, I hope you guys enjoyed the first part of it. Hopefully we can continue the survival of everything next time when we try to play Rimworld. Bye-bye.